Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It is, what day is it? Thursday. And all of our guests today brought to you by our friends at Delaney's OK Tire. In business for over 20 plus years, OK Tire is Canadian owned and operated from coast to coast. Visit them at 19863 Fraser Highway in Langley. New location, 3063 275 A Street in Aldergrove. A lot of people bringing up when it comes to the Vasily Podkolzin argument and the poll question. Delaney's OK Tire in Langley and Aldergrove inbox bringing up the point about Daniel Sprong and Danton Heinen.
Yeah,
and what happened to them.
I get that.
Off Podkolzin goes to Edmonton, and he's in a Stanley Cup final.
Good for him.
Different type players.
Yep.
Different type players.
Offense.
Okay, Farhan Lalji joins us now from TSN. How are you, sir?
I'm good. What are we saying? The Canucks erred in letting Podkolzin go?
Yeah, that's the poll question. Did the Canucks, the waddling dog poll question, did the Canucks make a mistake letting him go?
No. Look, at the end of the day, this guy's a bottom six player, right? He didn't prove to be a top six player. And could you be a top six player? You and I could be top six players with Leon Draisaitl, right? Like, that's not necessarily a fair comparison. The Canucks don't have that guy. He had a nice flash screen on the goal, right? Like, great. But, those two players are going to prop up a lot of other players. And there's we could go through a laundry list of players that offer the same level of value as Vasily Podkolzin. So the fact that he's in a Stanley Cup final with two players like that doesn't necessarily make what the Canucks did a mistake.
So you have no respect for for Chris Knobloch and the Oilers coaching staff. He had him out late in the third period of a tie game, Game 1 Stanley Cup final, and he had overtime shifts as well.
Look, there's no doubt that every player improves with a level of confidence, but what's the ceiling on Vasily Podkolzin now, right? Like, we're not looking at a guy that is going to absolutely transform his career into a player that would have justified that high of a pick. What Vasily Podkolzin is doing right now is what a mid-round pick does. And a mid-round pick who gets elevated. So, yeah, you can burst and do certain things in short sample sizes, but Vasily Podkolzin is not a key to Edmonton being at the level that they are now. And I'm not here to defend the Canucks. We all understand that organization has made some egregious mistakes along the way. I just don't put Vasily Podkolzin in that category.
Well, you and Rick should get along during this conversation.
That would be a first.
He's a useful player, but he's not exceptional. He's not one to do a lot of hand-wringing over.
You have to throw the 10th overall draft pick fact out the window. He can still contribute in a bottom six.
You have to.
You have to. It's valid.
You have to.
I'm saying you do it. You do have to throw it out the way, but he can still contribute.
Sure, but the Canucks probably have a bunch of players in Abbotsford who can do the same thing.
But you don't go 10th.
If given that opportunity.
You don't go 10th overall to play in the bottom six. You go 10th overall to be a difference maker in the top six.
Yes.
So that means you can't contribute in the bottom six.
Well,
again, throw that out the door.
When you're talking about a mistake, right? Like, again, there are a lot of players who, given the same opportunity, could offer what Vasily Podkolzin is offering today. He doesn't give you a unique skill set.
Get guys in the fifth round to do what he's doing.
That's what I said. Yeah, there's guys in Abbotsford, given that opportunity in a short burst, could do what he's doing.
Yeah, I'll disagree with you guys there. We'll agree on this.
You know what I agree?
10th overall was a mistake. 10th overall was a mistake.
It's been 3 straight shows I've agreed a lot with Rick. That's what worries me.
Oh my gosh.
Something's wrong. We will all agree that he's a great kid. Canucks said nothing but good things about that kid when he left.
Hey,
for sure. Very good person. Yeah.
Meanwhile, this Rosemary, what is it called? Rosemary Brown?
Rosemary Heights?
Rosemary Brown Recreation Complex. It's in South Burnaby, but it's near your stomping grounds, near New West, Farhan. Rosemary Brown Recreation Complex. The Canucks are thinking about a practice facility there. They toured the place yesterday. We understand they've also toured Britannia in East Vancouver. What do you think the best place would be, maybe amongst those two, for the Canucks to set up shop?
Well, bring him to Burnaby. It's closer to us. It's far more convenient, don't you think?
It's by New West more than Burnaby, but whatever.
You're right. It is. It's a very good, very well-located facility. I would be thrilled if they moved right there. they've been trying to get this done on the cheap for a long time. They've been trying to partner with another facility that already has the rink and already has the infrastructure, and then maybe they can build additionally if they can get the land given to them at a sweetheart deal and things like that. They've been trying to shortcut this process for a long time. And what's happened here, boys, is they've been shamed, right? The Rick Tocchet situation, and not that he left strictly because of that, but that is part of the conversation for what this organization doesn't have. It highlights the fact they're the only team in the National Hockey League that doesn't have this thing in motion, if not already in use. So they're obviously still trying to do it when they look at those facilities and they look at places with rinks or with existing infrastructure and things like that. But hopefully they get it done. Like the fact that we're seeing pictures of them walking around looking like this, it's a good thing that the top of the organization is looking at spots so that this thing can move forward, because it's taken far too long. I'm sure the players would prefer that it be at Britannia or in that vicinity because it's close to Vancouver, closer to the rink for sure. But I'd love to see them in Burnaby or New West.
All right, you know who's BC plays Saturday? The BC Lions, and it's the season kickoff, the regular season opener. What did you glean out of their 2 preseason games? I know the offensive line's going to be. I think Foucault broke his leg in 2 places in Edmonton. I think he had an operation there. This is concerning with the O-line, because here's the deal, Farhan. I don't care how good Nathan Rourke is. If you can't protect this guy, it could be a long year.
Well, to be truthful, it's not really a concern. And I say that short term because I think both Una and Packer will, and Foucault was always expected to be the 6th offensive lineman with Una as the projected starter. And they're back practicing, and I would imagine Una could be ready as early as next week. So from a roster and health and ratio perspective, this isn't reason to panic. And in terms of this week, it means a 4th American offensive lineman. So Corey Woodruff and probably Chris Slugger are going to wind up being the guards. And that's pretty good because those guys aren't any worse than the Canadians they would otherwise put in place. It might affect them on defense where they're going to have to play an extra Canadian there. So we'll see what that looks like for Mike Benevides' group. But I'm not overly worried short term because it could even be an upgrade for 1 week. And then, we'll see. Although I have a lot of faith in Una that eventually, if not right away, by the midway point of the season, I think this guy's going to be a really good player. In terms of gleaning things from the preseason games, the only thing I can take away was the first quarter when Nathan Rourke played in the last game.
Yeah.
And you were facing a lot of Edmonton starters. And I thought Rourke looked really comfortable in the offense. He got the ball out of his hand quick. I like what I'm seeing in the offense because we saw a lot of horizontal movement and misdirection and some concepts that Buck Pierce is really comfortable with that Jordan McSimic really never was, right? And people were calling for some more of those things, and we saw some more of that in the 1 quarter of play. He was 8 for 8, so I liked what I saw there. I liked how they ran the ball. And I don't want to be overly concerned about the other areas because the first 2 drives defensively, I thought Edmonton made it look pretty easy, but you also know that BC's showing a lot of vanilla concepts there, and they eventually tightened up regardless, even while Ford and the Edmonton starters were in the game. So I don't want to read too much into what I saw defensively because, what will the different looks give us? And, Betts and Peters and some other people didn't play in that last game. And, and offensively, I can only judge the 1 quarter. I'll tell you this, though, if BC gets quarterback injury, they're in a lot of trouble.
Oh, for sure. And also in that Edmonton game, he didn't have his top receivers in that game, and he went 8 for 8, which was pretty damn impressive. All right, other than Winnipeg, your favorite team, who are the teams to watch for in the CFL this year?
Saskatchewan. Come on, you got to keep up.
Who are the top teams in the CFL this year?
Well, I have picked Montreal to beat Saskatchewan in the Grey Cup previously, not Winnipeg. Look, I like the Owls. I love Davis Alexander. I've watched him since he was a high school player out in this area when I first saw him play. In Washington, down in Seattle, he played at Gig Harbor and then at Portland State. And I think the Owls made such a wise decision, right, in terms of getting younger and getting a little more, dynamic with a guy that's got a big toolkit. I like Montreal a lot. I think their defense is going to be solid. Saskatchewan is going to be interesting to me because I made this pick a few weeks ago, but now they've got some injuries on their interior offensive line. And they still they're like BC. There's a couple of receivers there that, need to take the next step, that had good rookie seasons and now need to take the next step forward. So can they do that? And, I'm looking forward to seeing that when the season kicks off tonight. But those are the two teams I've picked at the front end. After that, I think the West is wide open, right? We all think Winnipeg will take a bit of a step back. How much of a step we'll see? The Lions, I know Edmonton and Calgary are going to be better. Will they be better enough? The Lions, to be honest, are the one team that is just the hardest to grade, right? Because we all believe Nathan Rourke is going to give us the best version of himself, but there are other parts of that roster that have to show that they can function. So, we'll learn a lot this week because Edmonton will be better.
Okay, and Farhan, before we let you go, your group, and I'm sure you had something to do with this, your group at TSN has released its list of the top 50 players in the Canadian Football League. Vasily Podkolzin is number one. Brady Oliveira is number one, Winnipeg running back. Top BC Lion at number 6 is Justin McKinnis. What do you like about him?
Well, what you want out of Justin this coming year is an ability to produce for 18 games, right? There's obviously going to be ebbs and flows in an 18-game season, but there was such a flow, in the first half of the season and then such an ebb after that. But the first half was so good that statistically it carried him. I think Justin McKinnis has got a huge ceiling still. I think there's a little more that he has to give. When a player has a season like he did last year, you don't want to say he's capped out. And I don't think Justin McKinnis is capped out. I think he's going to continue on that pace. So consistency is what I want to see from him. But it makes sense. He should be the highest rated Lion coming off of last year because he was that productive, right? We know what Rourke and Betts can do, but they've got to get back to that stage. So you've got to go with the guys that have shown you what they've got. And I think that Gary Peters, who was also picked, Justin McKinnis has a lot to offer. The one guy I thought should have made it was, first of all, my guy Davis Alexander didn't make the top 50.
Yes.
But again, he had a small sample size last year, so I get that. But Sean White, to me, should have absolutely been in that group because in terms of consistency in that leg and even range at that age, amazing what he did last year. And I think if I was Sean White, and Sean doesn't need much to feel slighted, but I think that was justified, that slight.
Farhan, thanks for this. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, boys, we'll have a CFL game under our belt. It'll be fun, and then maybe even an American Hockey League team in the championship series to talk about.
Are you going with the NHL playoff beard right now?
Yeah.
What's going on there? Looking
good.
Next
time I do this, I got to turn the production light off because it highlights the gray. We don't like that.
Looking good. I'm jealous. Thanks, Farhan.
All right.
See you, boys. Appreciate it.